Hi guys, welcome to Toggle Talks, a podcast series where we're going to be speaking to different togglers through the agency to understand what goes on behind the crazy world of digital advertising. I'm Simran and I've been with Togglehead for the last 7 years. As a group account manager, I've interacted with multiple different people from different industries, both within and outside the agency. Today, we're in conversation with Keegan Pereira, our creative director. We're going to be chatting with him about what goes on and how he conceptualizes all his fabulous campaigns. Hi Keegan.
Hi Simran.
Welcome to Toggle Talks.
Thank you for having me.
Alright Keegan, so our first question is, how important is provocation when it comes to conceptualizing a campaign?
Provocation when it comes to conceptualizing a campaign is extremely important in some way or the other, because the word provocation in itself is slightly fraught with risk, right? I mean, you don't provoke something for the sake of provoking. You provoke because the word provoke in itself to evoke and to invoke a certain sentiment that can have a common place within the audience, and we may try to find that relevance through that provocation. So it is important as a marketing tool, but it has to be done smartly, sensibly and rightly. A few brands that you may have obviously been very well acquainted with, like McDonald's and Burger King. These guys are always Coca-Cola, all of these big, massive, iconic brands, and they keep taking sort of digs at each other. It's very renegade, so to speak, and guerrilla marketing, but it does have that provocative measure. I remember seeing a print ad where it said, why eat with a clown when you can dine like a king? And that was, Burger King steak on McDonald's, and they plastered it pretty much somewhere close to where one of their franchise stores was, the outlets, so to speak. And is this provocative nature that basically brings out a certain sense of personality of the brand. It brings out a certain sense of humor also, a certain sense of irreverence, and people enjoy seeing that human side to the brand. A few brands in India as well have been using provocation as a measure. We did a campaign for Diesel, if you remember, which was quite provocative in nature, where we sent these celebrities these t-shirts with sayings which they would ideally not be wearing. So yes, it does play an important role. It is an important marketing tool, and if, like I said before, done sensibly and correctly, it can have a space in the audiences.
Can you tell us about some campaigns that have really caught your eye and stood out?
In the recent past?
In the recent past, or in general, things that have inspired you, things that really, as a creative person, stood out for you and you were like, wow, this is really something.
Quite a few that really caught my eye. I really loved what Spotify did during the voting season, where they had that beautiful sound wave with the finger, the dot sort of.
That was really cool.
That was really cool, and it sent out a very strong message. But one campaign that really stands out for me in the recent past is Jockey or Nothing. I really enjoy it because it's just three words, but those 3 words, they mean so much in terms of what the brand stands for, in terms of what the product makes you feel. It makes you feel inclusive, yet the messaging is very exclusive, and it has a very clear-cut consumer takeaway, in the sense that if you speak about provocation, if you ask me, Jockey or Nothing actually is to the consumer, but it also is a message to its competitors.
Correct. If it's not us, if it's not us, then it's nobody.
It was almost akin to that line, that iconic line, maybe it's her, maybe it's Maybelline. Yeah, so it's something to that effect, and it has that sort of grandiosity, it has that sort of leverage, and it does take the competition a little bit sort of shell-shocked as to what has happened.
They are a bit taken aback.
So that was definitely a great campaign. There's another one that caught my eye recently, was Surreal Cereal. It's not an Indian brand, but what they did was very interestingly, they had these out-of-home, outdoor sort of print ads and traditional hoardings, where they said, Ronaldo eats our cereal, and Ronaldo with an asterisk, and in the subprint you read that Ronaldo is not the Ronaldo you're thinking of, is a regular 6-year-old boy. So in many ways, it's a fantastic way of using the star power of a celebrity, using the fame, using everything that comes attached with a celebrity without having to pay the celebrity.
And giving common people a chance to feel like a celebrity.
Absolutely, that's a fantastic addition. I didn't think of it that way, but yes, also giving common people a chance to feel like a celebrity, because there's a Ronaldo out there somewhere, right, who's reading this. Exactly. So these are the few campaigns that have caught my eye. Harpic did something recently where they completely transformed the entire public washroom in India, because the study obviously showed, and you don't need a study to just understand that, it said that over 65 to 70% of women in India don't have access to a sanitary washroom, a public washroom. And Harpic being the leader in the entire sanitization space, so they took it onto them to completely transform and make over all of the public washrooms, and that in itself becomes something which is not just a marketing campaign, but it's something which people have access to in real life situations. So that's where advertising goes beyond advertising and becomes a part of daily life. And these are the sort of campaigns that really, I have some reverence and really hold them in high esteem. Yeah.
That's actually very interesting. Our next question is, what are some digital emerging trends that you forecast and you see?
Deepfake. It's I think somebody will take this video and change my face and maybe your face, and maybe it's Kamala Harris speaking to Barack Obama. I really don't know, but it's something that is in fact, today I saw an ad and I nearly believed it, and it said peppercorn, and it was a bag of peppercorn chips, and they had both the Breaking Bad characters. Okay, they took the entire, they took snippets from the actual show, and instead of what they're actually selling in the show, they changed it with this bag of chips. And it said, and I was obviously, when you're scrolling through Instagram, you're scrolling through your reels, and it said this was the ad that broke the Super Bowl. So this was a Super Bowl commercial that really, broke the internet or something to that effect. And I was, wow, it was really cool. And then sometimes, you're really caught as to, wait, did this really happen?
Or is it just...
And then you have to go through the comment section for help. And that's where the comment sections really sort of, help you out. They're like, guys, okay, this is completely fake. This is, of course, you have a certain inclination, a sense of it, but you can't really tell these days. You really just cannot.
With the power of tech.
That is a scary trend, but it's something that is definitely going to be emerging in a big way, for sure.
That's a very, very interesting thing to hear, because I don't think we'd ever thought of this or even seen much of it in India yet.
Correct.
But I feel like maybe in the next couple of
100%.
months, years, it will be something. Yeah. Any advice for emerging copywriters?
Yes. Show up to work. I'm not even kidding you. This is something that my national creative director had told me when I was sort of, coming through the ranks. And I mean, he didn't say it in this context, but he did say it in context where I was coming late to work, for sure. But the idea was, most people try to show off, and which is something in an agency in which we work in, or in the industry that we work in, showing off is very important, because it is a showcase of your talent.
Your work.
It's a showcase of your creativity, and that's where extroverts tend to do a little better than introverts. So, but doesn't mean that the extroverts have the best ideas just because they're extroverted. The idea of showing up, and showing up being half of the job, is because it showcases a lot of intent. And showing up is not just showing up in terms of you coming to work, but showing up also in terms of your ideation, showing up in terms of taking charge of the resources at hand, showing up in terms of delegation, showing up in terms of presentation. And showing up in many ways becomes a huge part of our everyday routine, So that's something that I would try to tell copywriters to, definitely show up to work. That's number one. Secondly, don't get stuck in trying to search for an idea. Most writers sometimes make this mistake in trying to search too much. So they try to really push themselves hard. And just trying very hard. Just basically trying very hard. In many ways, it will come to you. But there is a certain process and there's a certain plan, and that's how the plan gets profitable. It's because you need to read. And reading is a huge part of your syllabus. It's a huge part of your curriculum. It's something which will anyway help you. So it's something that I use in my everyday thinking. If I don't like to call it thinking. That's the first thing. Okay, if you say I'm going to be thinking, then
Already schedule. I'm
You
going to be
can-
thinking from 2
exactly.
p.m. to 4 p.m.
exactly you
Thoughts
cannot,
come, thoughts
schedule
go.
thoughts. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I like to call it more like freewheeling, and it's like me jamming with myself. And sometimes you get a tune out of nowhere, right? And that's what generally happens to the best writers out there. They will be stuck. The next thing you know, they are on top of the world because they found it, and they have that hallelujah moment, where you get goosebumps, and the next thing you want to pick up the phone and you want to share that idea with, and you want to execute it, and you want everyone to know about it, because every idea has a certain amount of energy and it comes with a certain passion. So yes, show up, read, and don't try too hard. These would be 3 pieces of advice I would like to give.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people who will take note of this. So with this answer, if we had to ask you how you'd have or give advice to somebody to overcome a writer's block, this is pretty much what you'd say, and to other creative heads out there as well, right?
Probably, yeah. On the same lines of not trying too hard. Sometimes when you have a writer's block, you try to, I won't say punish yourself, but you try to go too hard on yourself. And it's not just a writer's block. I mean, we call it a writer's block because we are writers, but it's what I would like to call is a creative block. And a creative block can happen to any artist. You could be a musician. I am a musician also, by the way. I do have, so when I have a block, it's a block on many fronts.
Very cool musician and plays some really cool gigs.
Thank you so much for that. I think you've been to maybe one of them. So yeah, so as a musician, as a writer, as a painter, as someone who is a coder, I mean, a coder is not necessarily creative, but they can be very creative at times as well.
Yeah, a designer,
So
even
a designer.
like a graphic designer.
So you can in advertising parlance, there's something that everybody gets scared of, and it's called the blank page. And when you're given a brief and the first thing that you have in front of you is a blank page, that's the scariest part of the project, because you go like, now what?
Yeah, what do I write now?
Now what do I
fill
do?
in?
So the blank page can be a massive deterrent to anyone who's having that feeling of I'm blocked out, or I'm stagnated, or I don't have any creative juices flowing. Don't do it. Just take a step aside. Just embrace it in many ways. It's something that has come to you for a reason, because maybe you might come up with some real crap. Yeah, so maybe it's life's way of telling you that, listen, this is not your time. Yeah, this is not necessarily your hour or your day. It's okay. So that's why you just you take a step back. I understand in an industry like ours where everything is so time bound and everything has deliverables and everything and deadlines. So there's a lot of pressure to deliver, and it can get a little overwhelming for someone, especially someone who's new in the game. Someone whose experience may know how to sort of, maneuver and try to work their way with different sort of systems and processes. But someone who's new, they may get overwhelmed. So don't fear, don't panic, and just embrace the situation. Because trust me, your intelligence and most importantly, your instinct will take you through.
Got it, lovely. Okay, now we're almost done. We have a quick rapid fire round.
All right.
So, inspiration gathering, Instagram or Pinterest?
Instagram.
Instagram. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
You're a coffee person. Your favorite word or phrase?
Savoir-faire. It means to have the art or the ability to say the right things in social circles.
Interesting. Your favorite time of the day?
Morning.
A weekend hangout with friends or Netflix and chill?
Ideally both, but I'll take the Netflix and chill.
Downtime.
Yes.
All right, Keegan, thank you so much. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right, guys. So with this, we wrap up the first episode of Toggle Talks. Stay tuned to this space to know who's going to be our next guest.